Adventures. My name is Mary and I'm the co-owner of 2 Foot Adventures, an ultralight backpacking store on the Pacific Crest Trail. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about cooking and cold soaking. So many of you are familiar with Talenti jars for cold soaking. They have been a standard for quite some time. However, also the standard is hikers being completely ravenously hungry. So for me personally, a Talenti jar is just not big enough. The Talenti jar is right around 2 cups. Most of the standard meals that thru hikers eat actually require 2 cups of water just to make them. So if you have the 2 cups of water and then you add in the actual food, they would well exceed the 2 cups of the Talenti jar. So CNOC has come out with their cold soaking bag. It is 1 liter. It's actually 40 fluid ounces, which is more than a liter. It works just the way that their CNOC bladders do, or CNOC, I guess is the proper pronunciation. You have the slider at the top, it's tethered to the bag. You can open it up, put your food in there, put the water, fold it back over, and seal it. So then you can hike for many hours and not have any spillage from your cold soak bag. So this is great if you're hiking through, say, the Mojave Desert and the temperatures are running 70, 80, 90 degrees. You can still have a warm meal even though you're cold soaking. So these bags can be really nice for that. In today's environment, many people are also looking to reduce the plastic waste that they're using. So oftentimes hikers will repackage meals into Ziploc bags. Here's one of my homemade meals that I've put in a Ziploc bag, and here is another one that's even a little bit more bulky. So these meals are well over 2 cups. That is the volume, like I said, of the Talenti jar. So I would have a very difficult time getting enough calories, getting enough food, if all I was eating was just the amount that I could put in this jar. So just to give you another reference, this is the Nalgene bottle. It is 14 ounces, 400 milliliters up to this line. So there's a little bit more space in here. This one is 473 milliliters. So this jar is only slightly smaller than this. This one looks bigger, a lot bigger because it's shorter and wider, but in fact, it's barely bigger than this jar, okay? So this is not that much food, not for a hungry thru hiker. So if you're looking for something where you cook and rehydrate, instead of using Ziploc bags, I would like to recommend maybe you consider a slightly heavier option, but a very much more durable and sustainable option, which would be the good old Nalgene bottles. These Nalgene bottles will hold a full liter. So we're looking at something similar to the CNOC bag. The CNOC bags, though, you can't put any kind of warm water in. You could put warm, but you can't put hot water in it. The Nalgenes, you can go ahead and put your regular hot water in it and put your meal in it. The other good thing is, of course, with the screw on top, nothing will ever spill out. You can turn them upside down, as you well know. Many people use these just on day hikes. They're also pretty easy to clean because you can get your fingers in here. They're a smooth surface. You can get your fingers in here and clean everything around there. A long-handled spoon, you can see, fits all the way down in there as well, so you can scrape everything off the bottom. When you're finished with your meal, just add a little bit more water, close it up, and shake it really good, and then you can just drink the contents, and that would be sufficient to clean this on a regular basis. Many people will cook in their pot, but the number one thing that I hear, the number one complaint I hear when people are cooking in their pots is how much food gets stuck to the bottom, and you can sit in camp at night and hear everybody going scraping, trying to get the food off the bottom of their pans. So this avoids that. It's also kind of like a lazy way to do it, just by putting your food in here, putting the hot water, letting it sit, and then you can just, like I said, it's a shake and clean kind of thing. So it's really efficient that way. Also, if it's really cold, the great thing about carrying the Nalgene bottle is that you can put hot water in it and put it in your sleeping bag and snuggle with it until you're warmer. You can also warm up your feet. A lot of people use these in the Sierras for that purpose. So it does hold it has many other purposes other than just being a rehydration bottle. You can also use it as a 1 liter overflow for those really dry sections. You can sip, through this or transfer some of your water as needed. And then use the rest of it for cooking water and put it right back in there once it's heated. Also, to kind of point out again that the 2 cups is insufficient for most meals. Many people will splurge now and again and buy something like the Backpacker's Pantry meal. Pad Thai happens to be the #1 backpacking meal, I think, on the trail in terms of pre-bought, freeze-dried meals. And these require 2 1/4 cups of water to rehydrate over the contents. So we usually consider them to be one hungry hiker. So again, 2 1/4 cups of water on top of the entire contents of that. When people eat these meals, they feel really full and very satisfied. And oftentimes they tell me, oh, the next day was so much easier because they were able to get enough food. So if you're using a large container, then it makes it easier to not skimp on your calories because you have plenty of room. And oftentimes hikers will take a clean Backpacker's Pantry bag and they use it kind of as a reflector to reflect some of the heat and keep this back in. So after you've emptied the contents of your Backpacker's Pantry bag into your Nalgene and you've put your hot water in there, you can take the bottle and it should fit most of the way down in there, and it'll help to just keep it a little bit warmer, a little longer. For the past few years, I have been using a homemade reflector bag. I've been doing a lot of freezer bag cooking, but again, I'm looking to reduce how many plastic bags I use on my hikes. And so I'm going to also be going to the Nalgene this season, and I will make another koozie bag to fit the Nalgene. So I'll be bringing you a video on that in the coming weeks. And so doing that also allows me to visit a water source to get my evening water. And I will cook my dinner usually, especially in the peak of summer when it doesn't get dark until maybe 8 or 9 o'clock, but maybe I want dinner around 6 or 7. I'll stop at a water source and fill up for the day, get enough to have for breakfast, go ahead and make my dinner, and I'll pour the hot water over my food and then just put it in my backpack and walk for 30 minutes or 45 minutes until I get to camp, set up my camp and go ahead and eat dinner. And then the next morning I have, plenty of water still. My dinner's already made when I get to camp, so that's really nice. And then I've also reduced my plastic use. These Ziploc bags, when I'm done with them, if you're a thru hiker who shops at the grocery store, many people repackage their meals and they don't necessarily carry these bags with them. On the hike, they'll put these into Ziploc bags. So now when you get back to town, you have empty Ziploc bags. You can again just add your and just keep reusing the bags that way. And if you're like me and maybe you made some meals at home, I can also reuse mine in other sections, whether it be to put snacks in, to give to another hiker. Every now and again, I find that I'll send a package of stuff home. Whether it be extra food or maybe some gear when the weather changes and so forth. So that's also a time that I could just send my extra bags back home and then I can use them for my next hike. So I hope you've enjoyed this discussion on rehydration and cooking. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below. As always, we would appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our updates. You can shop 24 hours a day at twofootadventures.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook at 2footadventures, and we just appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again. And until next time, have a great hike. Bye.